All right, what's up, guys? It's Wes. So this episode is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very scary for me. And it's going to be filled with art stigma. Stigma. If you ever took an art class and you showed up with this type of art, your art instructor probably got a ruler and slapped your hand and said, no, we are not going to be doing manga or anime or, actually, this is just Benjamin's really good. He's just a painter, but he does a more anime style. None of it. We don't need that anime and manga in here. You need to go from reality. You need to do still lives. You need to do figure drawing, the really boring academic stuff. And I'm here to tell you that's partially true. It's partially true, but we're actually going to talk about anime, manga art, how it can improve your overall skills. And you're going to see me struggle desperately because I'm terrible at drawing. Anime and manga art is very much based on drawing solid dynamic fundamentals, which everyone needs to work on fundamentals, but me especially. So we're going to dig in. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about some of my favorite Japanese style illustrators, painters, manga, anime, just all the different styles, the nuance. It's way more complicated than you might think, and I'm excited to dig in and learn more about it. So please join me in my big old bundle of books and how to draws and all that stuff, and we are going to talk about the beauty that is anime and manga art, and if the stigma in art school is warranted or not. All right, guys. So normally we just cut straight to the kind of time lapse and stuff and the narration. Sometimes we do this little middle segment, but this time it's definitely needed. Not only warranted, but in my opinion, needed. So the first part before the Art of Wes Gardner deal that I recorded, with the white shirt, the Cowboy Bebop shirt on, that was recorded on May 3rd. And then I took about a week, went on spring break, found out yesterday that Akira Toriyama passed away. And we're doing an anime and manga episode or video or whatever. That just sort of, it changes what this video is. I wanted this video to be, okay, there's an art school stigma about anime and manga art. Is it warranted? That type of thing. And then somebody who's even saying he's a titan doesn't do it justice. It's like the only real person I can think of that would be like this is whenever Walt Disney passed away. You know what I mean? Akira Toriyama invented a genre. The dude, I can't imagine the world without his art in it. I genuinely can't. We'll talk more about this during the time lapse stuff, but I just want to take this moment and kind of the face to face stuff. So often artists, myself included, wonder what else can they add to their repertoire. What can they add? What can I do to make this piece really stand out? What can I add? What sort of ability can I bring to the table? And it's all based on there has to be more in the pot and the secret sauce is there and you have to add more ingredients and all this. Akira Toriyama is so good because it's not about what you add. It's about what you cannot take away. His art is perfect. It's perfect. I'm going to show some of it here while we're talking about him. It's perfect. You cannot take anything away and have it be as effective as it is. You could add whatever you want. You could put watercolors over it. You could do, whatever. But the characterization of the eyes, of the hair, the angles at which he's capturing these, he does hard surface stuff. He does, people, of course, that we know. Like, I love him and know him from Chrono Trigger. That's kind of my go-to Akira Toriyama. But I'm a huge Dragon Quest fan. Of course, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z. You grow up with this stuff, and it is truly timeless. It is timeless because you cannot take away anything. It's like this perfect condensed crystal of like, I wish I could get 1/10 of that confidence. I wish I could. So this whole episode, the tone's going to change a little because, the whole idea of the video was, hey, the art teacher, they're coming from a good place, but if they don't like anime and manga, that's on them. It is what it is. But now it's going to more of a screw them. Like, how popular is anime and manga now? And not single-handedly because of Toriyama, but like pretty freaking close. You know what I mean? The dude is arguably the greatest, self-fulfilling illustrator, mangaka, what do you even want to talk about? Like, storyteller that's ever lived. Bar none, like, period. So, like, so we're going to do the time lapse. It seems a little weird to do it now, but you're going to see me struggle with Procreate at first. We're going to do the time lapse of Procreate that I had the iPad with me during the spring break, and it was a lot of fun. And every night, whenever everyone went to bed, I tried to like wrestle with the pencils and try to get the stuff. And we did the piece from Final Fantasy 16, the kind of marketing art. But seeing that, I was devastated that Toriyama passed away, and like, oh my gosh, it derailed, but for good reason. You know what I mean? Like, this video is now something different. So we're going to talk probably more about Toriyama, but we're going to just talk about the essence of style and, why do the art instructors want you to go away from anime and manga? Is there some sort of credence to that? Like, is that the proper way to go about it? Or is there a different angle to take or whatever? We're just going to talk. Okay. But I had to mention, I got my Dragon Ball Volume 1. I'm getting all the other volumes on Blu-ray. But, man, it's so weird because, I'm getting older, of course, but a lot of my art heroes are like passing away. And Toriyama just feels different, It's like his stuff, it's almost like he's never going to be gone because his stuff is so like imprinted on just pop culture, and like the world couldn't be what it is without Akira Toriyama. I mean, you can go to any mall in America and they have their little knockoff, like I'm going to make, knockoff sweaters. You can buy those, and those have Dragon Ball characters. You see memes all around the world. They have Dragon Ball characters. You see, I mean, hell, Dragon Ball is one of the highest rated, manga, and it's ridiculous. There are very few people that have that ability, that can like get the essence of the human experience and put it in a way that millions and millions and millions can latch onto and really resonate with. Like, very few. And we were very grateful and lucky to be alive whenever he was making his work, because this is one of those things that, like, if you want to talk about a master class of all of it, of storytelling, of characterization, of all that, but just even of illustration, simplifying design to make it just pop. There's nobody better. There's nobody better, and there's not going to be anybody better. So, yeah, go buy some Dragon Ball stuff, man. Go play Chrono Trigger again. Go play Dragon Quest, and just enjoy it, man. Enjoy that stuff. We only have one time on this rock, I guess, but so thanks for everything, Master. Now let's watch me butcher some other some Kazuya art a little bit. So anyway, back to the show. Yeah, so now we're here. Yeah, it's so bizarre because I mean, man, where to even start? So first off, let me start by saying I love Procreate. I have used it quite a bit more. I think my deal is I don't have the confidence with having a smaller screen that I'm trying to use. So you're gonna see me kind of butcher this, but basically I put very primitive shapes down first. So circles for the head, squares for the torso. Try to get the actual pose right of this. I have the actual piece, the Final Fantasy 16, kind of the promo art on a program called VizRef. So it's on a separate program and it's sort of it's overlaid on top of Procreate, like kind of how I do PureRef on my other stuff, and you'll see my PureRef usage on the Clip Studio side of things. But yeah, I just do very primitive shapes, and then I just try to get the silhouette of the outline because that helps me whenever I'm doing illustration like this, And it's funny, I kind of think of this as I don't know, like trapper keeper illustration. My version of it, not definitely not their version. Their version is incredible, and should be like hung at the Louvre. But my version is I do very much how you learn how to draw whenever you're in like fifth grade. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to draw the hair, and then I'm going to draw the face, and then I'm going to draw the neck, and then I'm going to draw the arms, and then I'm going to draw. Everything is a thing instead of forms. You're literally just drawing shapes, and like his nose looks like a triangle, so I'm going to draw a triangle. Like it's very rudimentary way of thinking about it, but that's how I have to think about it. Whenever I'm drawing something very illustrative like this, I have to think about it that way, or else I go insane and I want to get a paintbrush and start smudging paint around. So I have to work that way. That's probably one of the things I need to work on the most is my sketching. But you'll see I put down the primitive shapes, then I do kind of a once over, kind of put more of the actual shapes over it. Then I do another once over. So I'm just lowering the opacity of these sketches, and then I'm just drawing on top of that, and then drawing on top of that, and then drawing on top of that. So I'm kind of layering, but I'm layering my lines. And this allows me, I don't know, to kind of refine it each time. So I am pretty pleased with how the angles worked and stuff like that. It kind of looks like the thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy-ish with that. Of course, I'm going to fix it a little bit. I haven't even recorded the Clip Studio part of this yet, so I'm just kind of winging it about what my thought process is. But I kind of know how I'm going to tackle it. So we started here with the Procreate stuff. And then whenever we move over to Clip, what I'm going to do is I'm going to refine the main shapes. So probably the face and the hair of both characters. I'm going to keep the poses and the body maybe a little looser as far as the sketches. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with basically a soft, it sounds weird, a soft, hard, round brush. So it's a hard, round brush that has kind of a wet edge to it and get some of that smeary color in there. Now, I could color pick, but I'm probably not going to. I want to just try to eyeball it and see. This is part of the learning process for me is like, how can I make this sort of nice, soft watercolor look without color picking, without relying on, Rebel's watercolor engine? How can I make something look soft and, I guess rendered is the right word for this style, but not overly rendered. It's something that you basically just put in your flat color. They meld with each other pretty well, but it's not overbearing. Like I don't have to like get the lasso tool and be super sharp, like razor's edge sharp with any of these colors. I can just sort of lay them in and let them kind of live in harmony under the sketch. And then I'm probably going to lower the sketch's opacity, maybe a little bit, not a lot, because I do like that energy of seeing the lines and the sketchiness and my really shaky lines for how small it is, how small the screen is. So I have an iPad Pro. It was one of the newer ones that came out, I think, in like 2021. maybe early 2022, whatever that generation was. It's like the rose pink color because I thought it looked awesome. So that's the one I got. And the Apple Pencil 1. So that's what I'm using with Procreate. But then, I go from a 16-inch screen over to a 24-inch screen with my Huion, where I have my Clip Studio and all my other stuff. So that's what we're using there. And it makes a big difference. One, I'm used to the tools. I'm used to my pen. I'm used to, how my chair's set up. I'm used to all of it. So I get easier, better results faster. But it was nice to use Procreate as a bridge. Like, get the sketch down, and then you can go refine it later with the tools with a bigger screen. You know what I mean? A very cool way to work. Usually I only use my iPad whenever we're out of town. So I used my iPad for this, and then I downloaded Knights of the Old Republic on there because everyone needs to play Knights of the Old Republic, no matter what device you have. But let's talk about the main thing. Okay, we're talked about what this time lapse is and what the painting is. So let's talk about the main idea. So the stigma of anime and manga art in art school, is it warranted? No, it is not warranted. I think art instructors should have a little more grace, simply because anything that makes you want to pick up the pencil or pick up the paintbrush is good in my book. Anything. Doesn't matter. If you love drawing birds, if you love drawing maps for like a D&D campaign, you're kind of the cartographer of your group. If you love doing studies of manga or anime characters, you have, let's say, like I mentioned Vinland Saga earlier, you have Berserk, you have something like that, and you really want to figure out how they do that. Do master studies, man. If that's the stuff that gets you excited, if looking at that and you really want to nail it and you're a big fan of like Akira Toriyama or Hyung Tae Kim or Kim Jung-gi or Hiroshi Minagawa, or I'm kind of looking through all my books now, but there's incredible breadth of talent that you can study from. And all study is good study. I'm convinced. Now, I think where the art instructors are coming from is you shouldn't lock yourself into one thing too early. I think that is very true. I think it is just as warranted to study Akira Toriyama as it is to study Anders Zorn or Edgar Degas or Picasso. Like, study all of it. Try all of it, because you never know what you're going to be good at. You never know what you're really going to resonate with. And maybe you find out you like looking at certain type of art, but you like making a different type of art. Do you know what I mean? Like, I will say I think my strength is my landscapes. I just think of them very methodically, and I can tell very easily if something is right or wrong. Where I'm less comfortable is in this type of stuff, is in like character work. I can kind of do it, but my poses are really static. It feels very like, you can tell I'm uncomfortable when I'm working on it. That's how I feel. I feel like my characters seem uncomfortable because I'm uncomfortable. Does that make sense? But with landscapes, I feel like I can shut my eyes and I can see a place. And then I want to put it down on paper. And a lot of times, if you grew up with Dragon Ball, if you grew up with, Blade of the Immortal, if you grew up reading Sailor Moon, maybe when you think of a character, that's the type of archetype that comes to your head. And maybe that's what you start to resonate with and you really emotionally connect with it. People are smart. Your art viewing audience is very smart. They can tell if something is BS or not. They can tell if you're really into it, if you're really having a good time, if you genuinely love what you're making. It's contagious. People cannot help but get resonated towards that. Like, it's almost like a magnet. Like, you have this magnetic pull. Whenever you're really kind of in your zone and in your place, other people are going to notice and be like, whoa, some magic's happening right here. What's going on over here? And they're going to follow you. You know what I mean? But it's good to stretch out a little bit. And I think that's where a lot of the art stigma stuff comes from for art schools. Is like, yeah, you could love Dragon Ball all day, every day. But like learning John Singer Sargent or learning Norman Rockwell is not going to take away from your love of the other stuff. In fact, you might fall more in love with Akira Toriyama's art because you understand what he simplified and how much of a genius he is, and be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. His eyebrow to eye ratio and the nose is perfect compared to, like, you're going to notice way more nuance the more you study other stuff. There's like old sayings that if you want to get really good at an instrument, listen to people that don't play that instrument. So like you would hear Jimi Hendrix would listen to Miles Davis. You know, Miles Davis didn't play the guitar, but Jimi Hendrix would listen to Miles Davis to get ideas for stuff to do on the guitar. He would stretch out. Sure, he listened to other guitar players, but like he just listened to musicians. And that's what I feel, in my opinion, what we should do as artists. Try all of it. Sample all of it. You know what I mean? The passing of Toriyama-san is one of those things that it's just a reminder. It's a reminder that we have a limited time here. So like, learn all of it. Don't be so caught up in your ways about, no, this is my style. I'm going to do this one thing and that's it. Don't do that. The moment you do that, whenever you stop learning, that's like, hang it up because you're done. Like, you always need to push. You always need to learn something or be kind of a sponge, soak in the world around you, soak in other things that you may not even think you have, any sort of, ability with, or that you don't have any strength towards. A perfect example is like, I learned a whole lot from John Singer Sargent. You would think that a majority of what I really learned from that was brushwork. But the more I'm studying Sargent, the more I realize the thing that I'm getting from him more than anything is, number one, his compositions, and number two, his color. I'm not even worried about color in John Singer Sargent work, really, because I got drawn to it because of the brushwork. But seeing hundreds and hundreds and, having books and books of John Singer Sargent, reading through it, and, oh yes, this brushwork, and he worked 9 feet away from his canvas. That way he could, it was gallery length, and he would walk back and forth and always only do 1 or 2 brush strokes and look at it, and he'd really study, and I'm so caught up in that. I'm looking at so much Sargent that I'm absorbing all of his color theory. I'm not even focused on it, but because I see so much of it, I realize if the blues and the reds match, if they work together, if the values are right, because I'm just like surrounding myself with his work. The same thing can happen if you branch out and you start reading more anime and manga. Even if you're not a fan, find something that looks kind of cool and just dabble in it. You never know what you're going to learn. You really don't. That's what's so exciting about this. You never stop learning, ever, ever, ever. So overall, I think art teachers have the right idea that, hey, you shouldn't lock yourself down. Don't worry so much about, this quote unquote style thing. Let's try a bunch of different things and see what resonates with you. Because I promise you, if you do all of your assignments in art school, if you do the stuff and you pass pretty much with flying colors, you do well, you work hard, and you learn the stuff, whenever you go back to your anime and manga art, it's going to be better than it was before. And I promise your art instructor isn't going to be nearly as like hardcore, like butthead about you making your anime or manga art. I bet they're going to be like, yeah, you earned it. If that's what you like to do and you're getting even better at it and this other stuff as well, go for it. Like, I always bring up Picasso. People know Picasso because of his weird abstract stuff later in his life. You know what I mean? But go look at his early work. Go look at his early realism. Go look at his figurative stuff. Go look at the kind of the quote unquote art school training work. It is unbelievably good. That dude had fundamentals for days. And like, he could outdraw me with his feet on a Nintendo 64 controller. Like, it didn't even matter. You know what I mean? This dude is good. So then the fact that he started going towards the abstract, he just didn't find realism as interesting. He was too good at it. He was like, I figured this out. What's over here? And that's the stuff that made him world famous. You know what I mean? So do that. Get your niche, find what you're good at, and then start doing the stuff you're really bad at. Because that's where growth happens. And you can see me doing my bad sketches here. You got to do it. It's not pretty. You know, people will put only their best stuff online and their best foot forward. But I think the more interesting work is the stuff that's tough and it's rough and it's bad. And I'm going to, punch at the air and I'm like, roll my face on my keyboard. Like, it's arduous. And it's like, I don't have hair on my head, but if I did, I'd pull it out. That's where you grow. And that's where big lessons kind of reveal themselves. And that's where you learn mastery. Absolute mastery is you make your weaknesses your strengths. You make sure that there's not one part of your art theory knowledge, of your art practice knowledge, your dexterity, any of it, none of it falls behind. None of it. Toriyama, I mean, that's the man right there. You look at his body of work, outrageous amount of work that man did. Outrageous. He was still working. I mean, there's stuff that's unfinished because he's still working. You know what I mean? Like, it's truly remarkable. He had so much to say. He had so much to share. That guy was always learning. And you can tell because it was always good. And that's it. That's what we should aspire to be. Be good, Anyway, that's my time. I know this one was all over the place as well, but it is what it is. But thanks for watching. Let me know what your art weakness is. What's something that you need to work on? You got to put in the time. You got to knuckle down. You got to get to it. But let me know in the comments because we all have something. Mine is going to be line art, sketching, all that good stuff. But I think doing more anime and manga, maybe some Dragon Ball Z fan art. Who knows, man? Pour one out for our boy. That's it. Can't wait to hear from you. Leave the messages on YouTube. Follow all the socials, all that good stuff. But we will see you next time. And until then, go make cool art. I promise you, that is what Akira Toriyama would have wanted. Because hell, he's probably doing that in heaven right now. All right, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.